What's up, guys and gals? Welcome to Mountain Label Music. My name's Alex, and in today's video, I kind of want to show you guys how easy it is to put together just a little bit of setup. How easy it is to put together a little setup that you can take pretty much anywhere you want, whether that be when you're traveling or if you have a small bedroom studio. But if you're like me and don't have any working AC, so it's hot in the house and you need somewhere cool to work on a little bit of music, on your front porch. Right now I'm working with a Volt 476, my MacBook Pro, the Keylab 49, a pair of Audio-Technica headphones, and this Shure SM58. Anyways, that's enough talking. Let's get cracking. And I was actually thinking about using my contact library, but I think for this situation, let's just use the stock Logic Pro 11 library. Now also take into consideration, I don't have all of the sounds downloaded quite yet. I tried to download them earlier and it just wasn't working out in my favor. So usually I would start out with a drum track or even a bass track. So I'm going to load up 2 of those. So let's find an instrument. I really like the retro synth. There's just something about it. I don't know. It's very simple controls and it sounds great. At least when you're trying to get a simple synth bass tone. Very nice. I'm going to rename this bass. I'm also trying to do a lot of this one-handed, so I might put down the microphone every so often. Now what I like to do, I actually enjoy going through presets, like especially if I'm going to look for a bass tone, I'm going to go under the bass presets, and this goes with any software. This isn't just this Logic default plugin. Let's just start out with Airbase Synth. Not digging it. Ooh, I kind of like that sound. I'm going to slow down the release a little bit. I don't know, I'm still not digging this tone really. So at the moment, I'm not digging this bass, so I'm going to use something different. Okay, I might be able to work with this one. I'm going to select all my MIDI notes and go ahead and quantize them, and then just find one that sounds really good, which I think is this one. Cool, I can work with that. What I like about that is that the low end is so rich, and I can just cut off a lot of the high end that I probably don't need for now. So I already found one bug with Logic Pro 11 since I just updated to the most recent version, and that is when I use the Command R to repeat a MIDI track. It bugs out. It crashed. That's ridiculous. Come on, Apple. Come on. So I'm going to try this again. Let's see what happens. I'm going to bring it to the beginning of the session. Command R. Okay, I guess it works now. Maybe undoing something that I didn't do before. I don't know. Ridiculously stupid. And this is why I'm moving to Pro Tools. Ridiculous. So now that we have a little bit of a bass line, let's get a drum beat put together. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this one that I have. I just wish the screen wasn't so damn big. Oh, there we go. Got it. I'm going to lay this down. so I don't really care for that snare. So now one of my favorite things to do with any kind of drums that I do in my production, again, this is a personal preference, but I love gated reverbs. I'm really into that 80s vibe, whether it be Valley or the 1975 or any other bands that kind of do the whole 80s, the modern 80s vibe. More often in the electronic production side of things anyways. I love adding the most crazy ambient reverbs to a snare drum. So it's kind of cool that this kit actually already had a reverb in the preset. So I just went ahead and used it, and honestly, it sounds really good, at least in this scenario. And from the way I already hear the song going, I think this is what I'm going to go with. So just now I was playing with some effects to try to get a different vibe, but what I really needed was just an automated effect with that gated reverb. I already loved the sound of the snare, but I only wanted that gated reverb effect to just happen at certain moments. So this is what we got now. And just to reiterate on what this video is about, it's about producing music. This is not a song that I'm mixing right now. I'm just getting the basis and the foundation figured out so I can actually sound design while I'm making the song. So if levels sound a little off right now, they will. That's just the nature of the beast. All right, now that we got some drums figured out, I think we should drop in some loops. So Logic just crashed on me again. I think it has something to do with the looper tool, and me using that repeat function. I'm not sure, guys. This is low-key annoying, but we're going to work through it. So this is what we got so far. Getting funky in here. I'm still going to add another snare sample, just because I want to add a little filler. And again, this is not a mixing tutorial, but we still want to create things that we expect to be in the mix later on. We don't want to get sucked into producing the song and just waste time adjusting levels when we don't even have a song to adjust levels for. But oftentimes, I just like to print all of my tracks anyways, so whenever I load it into a new session designated for mixing, it changes the focus. Like right now, I got MIDI everywhere, and when I get just audio files and I know what the sound is that I'm looking for and I have the sound in front of me, it gives me a different focus and a different perspective of how I'm using the tools that I have in front of me. All these DAWs aren't just mixing DAWs. They're audio workstations. They do everything. So when we put ourselves in the mindset when we open our DAW, it really helps us understand what we're about to do next and gives a better direct towards intent. Let's get this snare. Oh, I need the regular sampler. Now all I've done is add a few different snare hits to fill that gap that I was getting from the snare that was included with the Drum Machine Designer. I also added a little bit of the reverb that I was getting from the gated sound from Drum Machine Designer, just so it sounds a little more seamless. I also might do a room reverb to everything later on, but right now I'm content with this. I really like this. I think I'm gonna go with a piano next. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. There's just something about this Steinway grand piano that's included in Logic that really just tickles my ear. I ought to put that on a t-shirt. I'll be sure to leave it in the shop whenever I get my website up. But if that's a t-shirt you would like to buy, leave a comment. I'll send one to you. I'll make one just for you. I take Cash App and Venmo. Maybe the Steinway isn't. It's a little too bright for me. It's very, very pokey. It's very upfront. But I also really like this Yamaha grand piano. I may give it a try. But I think I got the gist of what I'm wanting. And that's the more important thing. I'm of the opinion that the more important thing when it comes to producing music is getting something out into the world. When you spend so much time on a certain sound for too long, or maybe you're actually just looking for something that's not there, you're not creating art, really. You're forcing the art. And art is more of something that is brought out from you. And if you're not happy with that, then I think you just need to experiment a little more. Like, playing with one song over and over is just, at least in my opinion, something that will really help your creativity, even if you don't like it right now. Like, if we were all music producers and we all enjoyed something that we made right out of the box and that was actually really good, do you think everybody would be a music producer? Do you think everybody would be successful doing what they do? It just takes practice. Let's get this piano going. That was actually a really good take, in my opinion. And the beauty of, I hope it's still in Logic 11, is that I have enabled capture recording, which means everything that I just played on my MIDI keyboard, if I hit Shift R, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. Boom, there it is. Logic is always listening. And I absolutely love this feature. It's one of the many reasons why I haven't given it up as a producing tool rather than a mixing tool. Very like 90s rap type vibes as of right now, which I may accommodate the bass towards this now because that's just where the song's going, I guess. Now, you're definitely not going to hear me rap in this because I'm a white boy and I can't rap worth anything. I am not the modern day Eminem, and I can barely sing. But I'm going to be posting this on my Instagram, so be sure to check that out. If you want to add your own spin off to it, knock yourself out. I'll be sure to leave my tag up here or right here. Or maybe back here again. All right, this is what we got so far. Really cool. I think we can fill the gap in a little more. Maybe we can use that same reverb bus that we were using before. I'll kind of sneak it in there for a little bit, but it's not going where I wanted to go. I mean, if we're going to go the whole 90s rap, early 2000s rap type deal, we might as well add a little, maybe some Cali synth to it. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe we can do an arpeggiator? The synth that I come up with, I like the arpeggiator, but I don't like to carry it throughout the whole phrase, which I think is 4 bars as of right now. I like it to end at that second bar. And I'm going to add something else to kind of fill that gap in, but with what limited equipment that I have with me so far, I'm only able to do so much. I would probably add an electric guitar, a very clean electric guitar by now, but I'm not going to use MIDI instruments. Or maybe if you do want to use MIDI instruments and you do have an electric guitar that you know you'll get to eventually, go ahead and MIDI in those guitars and add them in so you have a placeholder for when you can get back into the studio. And I'm just adding a few minor details like a little bit of reverb at the end of those phrases just to add a little extra, maybe even a delay. There's just so much potential here. Ooh, I kind of like that. It's got a different effect to it. It's a little odd, but I think I like it in context. Yeah, I think I'm going to redo that bass part, see what something else I can come up with. Oh, I think we have a winner. Oh, so this is really cool. I didn't know this when I was initially playing the bass, but I noticed when I pressed the keys harder that there was something weird going on. Something didn't sound right, at least initially. Whenever you hit the key hard enough, it actually does like a bass slide. And this is the sampler inside of Logic Pro that is doing this. It knows if you hit it as hard as possible that it's going to create and play a sample that does that bass slide. So if I play it once and then I go to play it again, if I were to add that all that force, all the velocity, super cool. And I actually was able to record it and get a good bass tone out of it. So what I had just created was that gated reverb effect that I was talking about, because the snare was kind of lacking a little bit, even just the regular in-between hits, and I'm just using the one that was on Drum Machine Designer for a little bit of an extra like accent, if you will. But this time I actually added the gated reverb now. This is what it sounded like before. I'm just going to solo Drum Machine Designer with these snares. So now I'm going to include that gated reverb, which is just a channel EQ, getting rid of a lot of those lows and the high highs. The reverb plugin itself, this is actually just the default, just how it came up. Sounded fine, so I'm going to go with it. And finally, the most important part about a gated reverb is the gate itself, the noise gate. And I just have it set to the default settings. Sounds fine, at least initial off the back. I'm not worried about fooling with the settings. If it sounds good, it is good. I stand by that, and I think you should too. So now this is with the gated reverb. And in context within the mix, without the gated reverb, it sounds like this. And now with the gated reverb. And honestly, what I would do with this bass, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to create a duplicate version. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Yeah, baby, I got it. And I'm going to pitch shift it up and see what that sounds like, because I like having that bit of mid-range-ish bass, but I like to have independent control of my low end, usually kind of like a DI signal, which is kind of what I have already, and then kind of manipulate it differently with the higher bass. Maybe add some distortion, which let's see what it sounds like, and then we'll go from there. So if you haven't seen this plugin already, this is the Chroma Glow saturation plugin. I guess that's what it's doing. It's basically some kind of AI type of plugin. I don't think it's AI. I think it's just another algorithm they use. I could be wrong, but it's supposed to be able to modify itself and accommodate as if we were running it through analog saturation. And between all of the ones that I tried just now, I like the Squeeze, and I don't like a lot of it, but I'm going to go with that. This is the before and after of that bass. Just enough to kind of, poke through a little bit. It's not meant to change the entire sound of the song like a distortion plugin. Now let's see what we got now. Oh, that's so good. And we've only utilized the MacBook Pro and the MIDI keyboard. I haven't even touched the Volt 476. I'm kind of just using it right now as a recording device. So in this video, take it with a grain of salt that you don't need a lot to get a decent sound up front. And again, I'm doing all of this within Logic Pro. You don't have to use the Logic Pro sounds, but if you want to just go ahead and get started practicing making music, just use what you already have. Don't waste money on stuff that's just going to distract you from creating music that you're not going to be happy with no matter what. But anyways, that's all the time we have for this video. If at-home music production and immersive music production is your deal, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video. I do plan to mix maybe this song in immersive and in Dolby Atmos, so be sure to stick around in that, because that is one heck of a video. I'm going to show you how to take your stems from one session to another and print them the proper way so they're ready for whether it be your mixing engineer or if you're ready to start mixing the song into another DAW or another session. Anyways, once again, thanks for stopping by. I hope to see you in the next video. Come here, baby. You want to be a part of the video? No? Unbothered.